Carter Brown Mysteries. Adventures in excitement and suspense, based on the best-selling novels by the slick storytelling sensation, Carter Brown.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This is Carter Brown to bring you another of my books. This time it's Curves for a Coroner, the story of a group of entertainers stuck in the English countryside in the middle of a snowstorm. And what happens to them couldn't happen to four more frightened people. But I'll leave Terry Tomlin, the comic of the party, to tell you about it. Have fun.
There'll always be an England. That's what the song says. And as long as there's England, there'll be wind and snow. There were four of us. Walt Lund, Kate Germain, June Sherman and me. Terry Tomlin, the funny man of Fulham. Not to mention Harry, the driver of the bus who was taking us from our last date to our next. We were the only passengers. Who else but four hard-working performers would be travelling on a night like that? The only trouble was that the bus made a T-model Ford look like the newest thing in cars. And on top of that, it was blowing and snowing. In theatrical circles, our act was known as Four for Frivolity. At the moment, it looked like being renamed Four for Freezing.
How long till we get to Exeter? If we don't get there quick, I'm going to do my celebrated imitation of the abdominal snow woman.
Here, Kate, you stick to your singing. I'm the comic with this lot.
Ha ha. If you were, Mr. Tomlin, we'd have had more than 18 seats filled at the scene of our last disaster.
The past, Walt, is past. We should look forward to the future.
Future? The only future I can see is turning into an icicle.
What? June Sherman, the shattering showgirl? The hottest thing in skirts?
I wish I had three more on. Ooh, one over the other.
Cheer up, infants. We'll get there by 11 tonight, Harry says.
Oh, 11 tonight. By then I'll be just right for the deep freeze. Hey, we've stopped. What's the matter?
Harry, what's wrong? Why are we stopping?
We've had it, Gav.
Had it?
Burned her parents out. I shouldn't be surprised.
Well, what do we do now, Harry?
Walk. I reckon the old bus is on her last legs.
Walk? In this snow? Not this little lady. Or this one. You're the big, bold, brave boys. You walk.
Us?
That's right. Go and find shelter and then lead us to it.
Well, Terry?
Walt, I'd just love to swim through all that snow with you, but the night here makes me lose my memory. You wouldn't want a comic with no gags, would you?
We've already got one. Up on your feet, Tomlin, and pretend you're Scott of the Antarctic.
Walt, where are we?
About a mile or so down the road, I suppose.
What road?
We must be on the road.
Walt, I have to break this to you gently. Look around. Snow as far as the eye can reach. How can you tell if we're on a road or not?
You mean you think we're lost?
Oh, I hate bus drivers.
What in thunder's that got to do with it?
I'm just thinking of Harry sitting back there, wherever it is, in the bus with the girls. Would he come with us? Oh, no.
Oh, no!
That's what I said.
I wasn't playing Echo, you nitwit. I just saw something. Look!
A house.
Unless it's a mirage. Come on.
That's not a house. That's a castle.
Complete with moat and drawbridge. Tomlin, let us storm the fortress. Knock on the door, Terry.
You know, this place has got a sort of sinister look. If anything on a broomstick comes close, smile.
From the look of it, no one's lived here for years.
You mean since Count Dracula wiped out the local population?
Wait a minute. I think someone's coming.
Yes.
Ah! What's the matter with you, Terry?
Oh, can't you see? Boris Karloff.
Don't be stupid. Look, we're sorry to worry you, but our bus has broken down and we're stranded.
Why call here?
Because this is the first house we've come across. Back there is a bus with two women and a man in it. You wouldn't let them spend the night there and freeze to death, would you?
Very well. Come in and speak to the master.
The master turned out to be a slim, aristocratic-looking chap named Percy Hammond. We told him our story. He looked interested when we mentioned the two girls, and then insisted that we stay in the drawing room by the roaring log fire while he and his butler, who was called Rogers, went to rescue Kate, June and Harry. Walt and I thawed out with the help of the flames and a drop from a bottle provided for us. We were just feeling nice and comfortable when we heard it. Blimey, Charlie.
My name's Walt.
Did you hear that?
Of course I heard it.
That was a scream.
I know. Terry, I think you ought to go and investigate.
What, me? By myself?
Well, you're always talking about what you did in army intelligence during the war. Here's your chance to be warlike and intelligent.
Oh, no. Not me, chum.
What are you, a man or a mouse?
I haven't looked lately. Sounds like our host is back. With the others.
Oh, what a relief to be out of that storm.
House, a real honest-to-goodness house.
Come along, ladies, this way. There's a lovely fire waiting. Well, gentlemen, here we are.
Well, you boys really did find shelter for us.
I could kiss you both.
Well, just skip Walt and concentrate on me.
Mr. Hammond, where's our driver?
Oh, my man Rogers will look after him, don't worry.
And it's not Mr. Hammond, Walt. It's Sir Percy. He's a baronet.
Ah, the pocket-sized edition of a baron.
Oh, that's jolly good. Jolly funny.
Well, Sir Percy, you're the only audience he's ever had who thinks so.
Hello. What's all this?
Ah, Sylvia. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce my cousin, Sylvia. These poor people were stranded, my dear, and we've come to the rescue, so to speak.
Oh, that's splendid, Percy.
Let me introduce you. This is Miss Kate Germain.
How do you do?
And Miss Sherman.
You would be worth a lot of money, Miss Sherman.
Me? Oh, you mean this leopard skin coat? I'm afraid it's only imitation. Don't let it fool you.
I wasn't.
And these are Mr. Lund and Mr. Tomlin.
How do you do?
Hello?
Please ignore him. He thinks he's a wolf, but he's just a mouse with extra long hair.
Yes, Sir Percy. Just before you arrived, Walt and I heard a terrible scream.
Scream? Oh, dear. I'm afraid that must have been our poltergeist at it again.
Well, can't you lock him up? He makes me nervous.
I'm afraid you don't understand, Mr. Tomlin. A poltergeist is a supernatural being, an elemental spirit which makes noises and sometimes throws things about. It's harmless, but rather unnerving until you get used to it. This castle's been haunted by one for hundreds of years.
It has?
Oh, just don't pay any heed to it, Mr. Tomlin. And if you'll all take a piece of advice, once you've retired, stay in your rooms. It doesn't come into the bedrooms, only the hall and the galleries. As long as you stay in your rooms, you're perfectly safe.
After a few drinks and the promise of some food, everyone got a lot happier. So Percy and Sylvia went off to see about our rooms. Ah, she was quite a girl, that Sylvia. A brunette to make dreams with. Every time she took a breath, I thought her dress must have had the strength of tensile steel. I left them talking in the drawing room and took a look around the hall, where I bumped into our driver, Harry.
Hello, Gov.
Well, what are you doing out here, Harry? Come inside where the fire is.
Nah, not me, Gov. I don't like this place. Gives me the creeps. I look at this hall with all them suits of armour standing down. They look like people, they do. Fair gives me the horrors. I'd have stayed with the old bus, I would, if I'd have known what this place was like.
Oh, it's only till morning. How are they treating you?
Oh, all right. But that there butler Rogers, proper twerp he is. Looks like a funeral just leaving the house.
Come in and have a drink.
No, thanks. I'll wait till old Rogers has finished fixing the eats. He says there'll be some left over for me. I reckons he might even find a bottle of beer, too. Hey, there's an idea. Why didn't little Harry think of it before?
Think of what?
Oh, place like this. Only one spot they keep the liquor, eh?
Oh, you mean the cellar?
That's right, Gov. I reckon little Harry might take a quiet walk around downstairs, like, eh?
Well, don't walk into the moat.
Don't worry, Gov. Little Harry knows how to look after himself.
I left Harry to pursue his quest and rejoined the others. Shortly afterwards, we all moved to the dining room for what you might describe as a playful meal. Kate was making a play for Sir Percy, and I was thinking of a game or two to play with the smashing Sylvia.
Why are you looking at me like that, Mr. Tomlin?
I was just steeping myself in the liquid beauty of your eyes, Sylvia. Why is it? This magnetism that passes between us. What have I got that attracts you so much?
A bird brain.
Ah, now it's no use trying to resist me. You're fascinated. Admit it.
Like a rabbit by a rattlesnake. Lord preserve us!
What was that?
Oh, I'm afraid the poltergeist is working overtime tonight.
I am really most terribly sorry, everyone. Please try to ignore it.
Ignore it. Ignore a disembodied scream around the place?
Well, I think we should, as Sir Percy says. After all, everybody knows old places have peculiarities. Like old comedians.
I'm 32.
That's what I mean.
Please, everyone, go on with your meal. Rogers, pour another glass of wine for our guests.
The rest of the meal, though, was pretty subdued. And not long after, Sir Percy and Sylvia showed us to our rooms. Walt and I were sharing, and he wasn't in bed 2 minutes before his distinctly untuneful snores was throbbing through the room. I lay awake. I couldn't do anything else with Walt imitating a threshing machine. After what seemed like an hour or so, a clock in the hall started to chime midnight. Oh, it had a sort of eerie sound in the silence. Made me think about the poltergeist and its 2 screams. I kept thinking about them. Then I suddenly realised that the 2 screams had been different. And the difference was that the second scream had been definitely pitched in male tones. Oh, I didn't like thinking about that. In fact, I disliked it so much, I decided I need a nightcap to send me to sleep. I got out of bed and headed for the dining room where the bottles were. In the hall, I nearly tripped over the suit of armour that stood there. I cursed it, then looked at it. I wondered how the blokes who wore them in the old days ever managed to see where they were going. Then I realised that they would have the visor of the helmet lifted up. I stretched out a hand and pulled the visor up, and 2 eyes stared straight into mine. Walt, wake up.
What's the matter?
Walt.
Terry, what's wrong?
Walt, I just found the second scream, the male one. It's wearing a suit of armour.
What are you talking about?
A corpse. A corpse which is using the suit of armour at the foot of the stairs.
Don't tell me the corpse looks like a poltergeist.
No. It looks remarkably like a bus driver by the name of Harry.
Carter Brown Mysteries. Adventures in excitement and suspense, based on the best-selling novels by the slick storytelling sensation, Carter Brown.
Teddy Tomlin, the Toast of Tottenham, that's me. One of the best comics in the business. The sort of chap who'd do anything for a laugh. But I wasn't laughing now. Not after finding a body inside a suit of armour in the hall of the castle. A body which belonged to Harry, the driver of our broken-down bus. And I wasn't laughing when I broke the news to Walt Lund and led him downstairs in the middle of the night to show him.
It's this suit of armour, is it?
That's right, Walt. Hold the candle up higher. Hello, there's something wrong.
Terry, you told me there was a corpse inside that tin can. If this is another one of your gags...
Don't be silly. But I took the helmet off to have a closer look. Now it's back on again.
Well, take it off again before I get pneumonia.
All right. Well, I'll be fried.
Nothing. No corpse, no staring eyes, nothing. And this wasn't a gag. This was on the level. You weren't Terry Tomlin anymore. You were Terence Tomlin, the brains of Army intelligence going to work.
Walt, cross my heart, there was a corpse inside before. Somebody must have moved it.
Who do you suggest? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
Did I say, you chaps? What's going on?
Oh, Sir Percy.
Heard a bit of a noise, thought I'd better investigate. What's the matter? Can't sleep, eh?
I could sleep all right if this so-called comic didn't think up funny gags to keep me awake.
No?
He comes tearing into the room with the story that he's found the body of our bus driver inside that suit of armour. So I give myself blood pressure, not to say pneumonia, racing down here to check up.
I say, that is a good one. Pulling your leg, eh?
Where is the bus driver, Sir Percy?
Sound asleep in the butler's quarters, I imagine.
Suppose we go down and take a look.
Oh, here, old chap, don't you think that's carrying the joke too far? You've had your bit of fun. Now I suggest you call quits and nip back upstairs to bed.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Good night, Sir Percy. And if you don't pester me, Terry, a good night is what I'll have.
Well, aren't you going with your friend, Tomlin?
I'd like to see the butler's quarters first.
Now, look, old man, I hate to say so, but I'm a bit fed up. I'd rather you didn't go disturbing Rogers at this hour of the morning. Butlers are hard to get these days, you know, and I don't fancy losing mine. I'm afraid, as your host, I'll have to insist.
He stood there watching me go up the stairs and didn't move until I'd turned at the top and headed for my room. Just as I reached for the doorknob, a thought struck me. It hurt, too. Sorry, can't resist a gag. But I suddenly realised that under his dressing gown, Sir Percy had on not pyjamas, but shirt and trousers.
Ah, so you decided to be reasonable and come to bed, have you?
Walt, listen. Did you notice that Hammond was fully dressed under his dressing gown?
What about it?
Well, what's he doing still dressed at this time of night when everybody else is sound asleep, or ought to be?
Maybe he's got insomnia. Or maybe he's got ideas.
That's just it. What sort of ideas?
That's Kate's business, not yours. Come to bed.
Kate?
Well, didn't you see his aristocratic features focused on her all through dinner?
Oh, I get it. Miss Germain fancies herself as Lady Hammond, eh?
Oh, I don't know. All I know is I fancy some sleep. Now, leave me alone.
He started up his own personal pneumatic drill again, and I knew I had no hope of falling off. So I lay in the darkness thinking about the body and the armour and its disappearing trick. And finally I decided that since I wasn't going to get any sleep, I might as well nose around a bit. I crept down the stairs again, and as I got towards the bottom I heard a low murmur of voices.
It's no use getting into a state about it.
But it's too dangerous this way.
The voices were coming from the library. The door wasn't quite closed. I tiptoed towards the crack of light with my ears flapping.
Last night. And then it was postponed till tonight. And now it can't be tonight.
Well, you can't hold me responsible for the weather. It's snowing like fury outside. Can't see a hand in front of your face. It'd be suicide to try it.
I recognised the voices. Sylvia and Sir Percy. But they might as well have been talking Chinese for all the sense they made.
Daylight.
I moved a bit closer to the door in the hope of seeing something that would throw some light on the subject. And then the light broke. Right on my head, from behind me. I felt myself sinking into a soft, spongy darkness. Oh, that light.
Well, what do you expect? It's morning.
Morning. Walt, what am I doing here, in my own bed?
A fine guest you are. After you had me running around for nothing, peering into suits of armour last night, you had to end up blind drunk and get carried to bed.
What?
It was a pretty embarrassing situation, I can tell you, when Sir Percy and Rogers carried you in here and dumped you on the bed. I had to apologise with you reeking of liquor.
Now, wait a minute. Sir Percy and Rogers carried me in here and I reeked of liquor?
That's what I said. For goodness sake, cut out the funny business and behave yourself. We're guests here, remember? Now, I'm going down to breakfast. If you'll take my advice, in future stick to food instead of drink.
He went out of the door and I sat up in bed trying to make sense out of the situation. Obviously, Rogers had crept up on me while I was eavesdropping, slapped me on the scone, and then I'd been sprinkled with liquor. So one thing was clear. Nobody was going to believe me now. But I was wrong. After breakfast, I got into a corner with June Sherman. June's the best thing in our act, barring yours truly, of course. She's a green-eyed blonde with curves. And can you think of anything better to get into a corner with? She was receptive, too, to my story, I mean. After I'd told her all about the goings-on, her green eyes were even wider.
But, Terry, if that bus driver's dead, murdered, we ought to tell the police.
How? There's no phone to my knowledge, and the snowstorm's still raging. In any case, we haven't any proof. To cry murder, you've got to produce a corpse.
Yes, and the corpse has vanished.
All we can do is to try and find out what's going on. I'd like a chance of seeing all over the castle. The only reason the bus driver could have been killed would be because he saw something he shouldn't. Wait a minute. I remember. He said he was going to have a look in the cellar to see if he could find any liquor down there.
Then what we've got to do is find the cellar.
It's not as simple as that. That's what Harry did. And look what happened to him.
Hey, you two, come on, we're waiting for you.
What for?
We're having a meeting in the library. Come on, shake it up.
All right, we're coming. Not a word to Bessie about this, June. Nobody told me anything about a meeting. What are we going to do, elect the poltergeist of the year?
All right, kids, we're all here. And our good host, Sir Percy Hammond, has a few words to say.
The situation is this. We are about 7 miles from the village, and the snow is still thick outside. And my suggestion is that we put you good people up here again today and tonight. Then, tomorrow morning, I have to send Rogers to the village, and he can phone Exeter and see if he can arrange transport for you.
I admit our accommodation isn't in the luxury class, but we'll do our best.
Well, personally, I think it's the most generous offer, and I'm sure all the rest of us feel the same way, eh?
There's one person who's not here to give his opinion.
Oh? Who's that, Mr. Tomlin?
His name's Harry, the bus driver, remember? I'd like to hear what he thinks about it.
Well, that's right. He'd know more about our chances of getting a bus from Exeter than anyone else, wouldn't he? Where is he? I haven't seen him since we arrived.
Rogers has been taking good care of him. He's been in the servants' quarters.
Well, don't you think we ought to have him up here to see what he's got to say?
Yes, of course. That's a splendid idea. Then it will set everyone's mind at rest. Percy, why don't you go and tell Rogers to bring him here?
Certainly, Sylvia. Only too glad to keep everyone happy. Oh, don't go away, people. I shan't be long.
I hope that will satisfy you, Mr. Tomlin.
Oh, it will, once I see Harry. Hello. I've run out of cigarettes. Before the bus driver turns up, I'll just nip upstairs. I've got another pack in my overcoat.
There are plenty of cigarettes here, Mr. Tomlin.
Oh, I prefer my own brand, if you don't mind.
Terry, do you think you could bring me my cardigan? I'm feeling rather cold. Oh, don't bother. You'll never find it. I'll come up with you and get it myself. Terry, what are you up to? I thought you might want me to come with you. That's why I made that excuse about the cardigan.
Oh, quick thinking, Junie.
You're not really going after cigarettes, are you?
No. But I thought while Sir Percy's gone to the servants' quarters, this might be a good time to try and get a look at the cellar. Come on. Look. Stairs leading down. This must be the way.
Terry, give me your hand. I'm a bit scared.
Hold on then, Ducky. Quiet as you can down the stairs. Careful here, Junie. The stairs bend round here. Never know what you'll find round a curve. And you ought to know with the kind you've got.
Terry Tomlin, this is no time to be funny.
Ducky, this is no time to be where we are.
What's the matter? Why have you stopped?
Look. Can't you see? Straight ahead.
A grill. An iron grill blocking the passage.
And that's no gorilla sitting in front of it.
How can you crack gags at a time like this? And such horrible gags. Gorilla.
Well, we might as well die laughing. Because that's a guard down there. And he's got a gun.
I can see it. Terry.
Careful. You knock me off balance.
Terry, he hasn't moved. I think he's asleep.
Would you like me to yell boo and find out?
Don't be silly. But Terry, if he is asleep...
Then I hope he has pleasant dreams. I know I won't. That's if I ever get out of here.
Listen, this is the time for you to be a man of action. All you've got to do is creep down towards him, take the gun out of his lap, hit him over the head with it, and bingo, we're right.
And if he wakes up while I'm doing it, bingo, we're left, dead on the floor.
Well, if you won't do it, I will.
All right, I'll try it. Come on. Stick right behind me. I'll try and inch round to his side.
Terry, I think he's waking up.
He's gone off again. Slowly does it now.
Now, Terry, get the gun now.
Done it.
Now, go on. Hit him.
All right.
What a...
Too late.
Oh.
Well, what's Alan Ned got that I haven't?
A good scriptwriter.
Hey, Junie, look. The keys are in the grill.
So all we've got to do is open it, and we'll find out what's the secret in the cellar. Oh, Terry, what was that?
That's what Walt and I heard when we first arrived here. What they said was the poltergeist. But if that's a poltergeist, I'm Prince Ali Khan. That's a girl's voice.
Carter Brown Mysteries. Adventures in excitement and suspense, based on the best-selling novels by the slick storytelling sensation, Carter Brown.
Usually I'm a pretty quick man with a comeback. After all, I'm Terry Tomlin, the pride of Pimlico, the comic with a corny catchline. But this was one time when I couldn't crack a smile, let alone a gag. Standing there in the castle cellar with that horrible scream still ringing in my ears. A scream which belonged to a girl. And the girl wasn't the green-eyed blonde in my arms. That was June Sherman.
Terry, you're right. It did sound like a girl's voice.
Come on, Junie. We're going to take a look.
Terry, you think we ought to?
Blimey, you forced me into all this He-Man stuff. You want to back out now?
Well, I was just thinking. Sir Percy must have come back to the library by now. If he gets suspicious, if anyone goes up to our rooms and finds we're not there...
That only means we've got no time to waste. Come on. The keys are here. All we've got to do is to open the grill. Like that. Now we'll take the bunch of keys with us and forward, stalwart Sherman.
Why are we stopping?
We're going to play games. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
What?
Well, can't you see? All those doors. Dungeons, I suppose. The question is, which one did the scream come from? So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We'll try that one. Second question, which key? It's not that one.
Hurry up, Terry.
I am hurrying. Third time lucky. I think this is it. Oh, my sainted aunt.
Is she? She looks a little young for that.
A girl. Here in this dungeon.
What do you want?
Who are you? What are you doing locked in here?
Is this some sort of trick?
Trick? What do you mean, trick?
Aren't you one of them?
You mean Sir Percy and Rogers?
Oh, I don't know their names. There's a big one who looks evil and horrible and is.
That's Rogers.
And the one with the nice voice who's just as bad.
Oh, that's Sir Percy.
Then who are you?
Look, we're not going to hurt you. We got stranded in the snow and we found this place by accident. We thought there was something funny going on, and when we got a chance, we decided to do some investigating.
What about the other one? The guard who brings the food?
Oh, don't worry about him. I hit him over the head with this gun of his.
Then it's not a trick. Oh, take me out of here. Take me away, please. I've been going mad ever since...
What's the matter?
So, it was a joke. Oh, very funny. I hope you have a good laugh.
What do you mean?
She means me.
What?
Drop your gun, Terry. If you don't want a bullet through your back, that is.
Sylvia.
The seductive siren herself.
Don't turn round, Miss Sherman. Go on, Terry, drop the gun. Now, kick it back towards me. Ah, that's better. And now, just in case you have any ideas about trying anything, both of you come out backwards.
What a way to make an exit.
Now, shut the door. And lock it. So, you finally stuck that awkward nose of yours too far into other people's business.
How did you know we were down here in the cellar?
I didn't, Miss Sherman. And while Sir Percy rushed up to your rooms to check, he'd been gone quite a while, far longer than necessary to fetch some cigarettes and a cardigan. I thought it wouldn't hurt to take a look round here.
Now what?
Move over to the next door and open it. The biggest key on the ring will do it. Come on, do as you're told. These will be your quarters for the time being. Inside, please. Both of you.
Here, I say, you wouldn't lock me up with a beautiful girl and no chaperone.
It's probably the only chance you'll get, so make the most of it.
What about the rest of our party, Walt and Kate? They'll ask what's happened to us.
Well, I think I can keep your friend Mr. Lunn so occupied that he won't have time to be curious. And Sir Percy can do the same thing for Miss Germaine.
Here, listen, you warn Percy to stay away from our Kate.
Oh, you think she'd be in danger?
No, he would. You don't know our Kate.
Always the funny man, aren't you? We'll see how funny you feel after a few hours in here. Goodbye.
Well, This is a nice kettle of fish.
Yes. Still, it won't do any good to carp. We'll just have to mull it over.
Oh, no. Look, just one more of those ghastly
I'm
gags.
sorry, Junie, but you know what they call me, the cheerful earful. Anything to bring a grimace to the face.
Listen, would you really like to give me a good laugh?
Well, of course, Dux.
Then go bang your head.
For you, I'll even do that. Here we go. Ouch! These walls aren't made of foam rubber. Got a funny sort of sound in my ears.
That's not your ears, you fool. It's the wall, look.
Well, blow me down with a hurricane. There's a hole in the wall.
It must be a secret passage. And when you hit your head on the wall...
I hold in one.
Well, don't just stand there. Come on.
What, you mean we're going in there?
It's the way out of here, isn't it?
But where does it lead to?
If we don't go and look, we'll never know. Oh, come on, or do you want me to hold your hand?
You bet.
For heaven's sake, get going.
We crept along the passage in darkness and silence. June was just behind me, and our progress was pretty slow. We seemed to be going up a gradual slope, and as we went, I was puzzling over in my mind by what it all meant. The girl kept imprisoned in the dungeon, the armed guard, and especially that conversation I'd overheard between Sylvia and Sir Percy about the risk they were taking. Then suddenly, June dug me in the ribs.
Terry.
What?
Look, up ahead. Some sort of light.
Yes. 2 pinpoints of light. Come on. There's a wall here. I can feel it. And those are 2 holes in the wall that the light's coming through.
Terry, I think you can get your eyes to those holes if you just bend down a bit.
Right. Well, I'll be...
What is it?
I can see into a room. It must be Kate's room because I can see her. And she's got a visitor.
Who?
Sir Percy Hammond, armed with a bottle of champagne. He's not losing any time, apparently. And June, this is funny. There's no wall here. It feels like canvas. I'll just keep my eyes to these holes, and we better not talk any more.
I thought you might care for a spot, Miss Germain.
Why, Sir Percy, how sweet of you.
Champagne's always such a jolly sort of drink, I always think.
I just love champagne.
You know, I never dreamed I'd be so fortunate as to be drinking this with the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life.
There's a corny line if ever I heard it.
I have never seen such flawless beauty in a woman before.
You know, Sir Percy, you could be dangerous. A girl should remember her mother's warning.
Why? Let me kiss you instead, my beautiful Kate.
Oh, Sir Percy.
Ah! Oh, I'm sorry. If I have that effect on you...
Oh, it's not you. It's that thing on the wall there.
Hmm? That? Oh, you mustn't let that worry you. It's only a portrait of a dog, after all.
Oh, but it's such an evil-looking beast. Why would anyone want to paint a dog's portrait?
It belonged to one of my ancestors.
Well, I wish it wasn't here, watching me all the time with those dreadful bloodshot eyes.
She means you, Terry. Those holes must be the dog's eyes that you're looking through.
You're just nervous, my dear. What you need is another glass of champagne.
Bloodshot eyes, eh? I'll show her.
Ah, here you are, Kate. What is it now?
It's eyes. They moved.
Oh, nonsense. A drink up is just your nerves.
Oh, yes, I suppose so. Oh, that is better.
Now all you have to do is relax, my dear. Relax while I... Oh, really? If I am so repugnant to you...
Oh, no, it's not that at all. But that dog, he winked at me.
Winked at you?
Deliberately winked at me with an awful look at his eyes.
But it says it's just a portrait.
I know it's just a portrait, but there's something wrong with its eyes. They can move.
Very well. I'll prove to you that its eyes are just painted like the rest of it. Now, get up on this chair. Now, I'm right in front of its eyes. You know, I must admit they are lifelike. Except that no living thing could have such dissipated eyes. But we'll soon prove that they're just paint. I'll give them a sharp jab with my 2 fingers. There. Ow!
What's the matter?
It bit me. Something bit me. I'm falling.
Help! I'm going too.
What on earth?
Oh! Thanks for breaking my fall, Sir Percy.
Terry Tomlin.
Oh, can't move. Winded. Ah.
Fine way to break into a girl's room through a picture on the wall.
Jump down, Judy. I'll catch you.
Right, coming.
Got you. Well, hello, Kate.
What are you two doing in here? How did you get there behind the picture?
Well, it's a long story.
But I'm afraid that you won't have time to tell it.
What? Oh, Sylvia, not you again.
And not alone. Come in, Rogers.
Do you take your wolfman everywhere with you?
Now, you won't be so cheerful after he's finished with you, Mr. Terry Houdini Tomlin. In fact, you just won't be. You're going to join the late lamented bus driver whom you were so concerned about. Rogers, take him away and get rid of him. Once and for all.
It will be a pleasure.
Rogers prodded me out of the room with a revolver and took me along a corridor, up another flight of steps to an upper gallery, and still more steps at the end of it. Finally, we came up through a wooden door into the open air. The snow had stopped now, but an icy wind had sprung up, and the whole world looked grey and bleak, like my future.
This is the west embankment. Directly below us, Mr. Tomlin, is the moat.
That's where the bus driver is?
That's right. Keep going, please. Towards the parapet. Ah, that should do nicely. Don't try turning around, Mr. Tomlin. It's much better the way we are, with your back to me.
I'm going over the battlements into the moat. Is that the idea?
Precisely, Mr. Tomlin. I trust you're going to enjoy your fall.
Carter Brown Mysteries. Adventures in excitement and suspense, based on the best-selling novels by the slick storytelling sensation, Carter Brown.
For a comic, I've got quite a reputation. For instance, some people have called me Terry Tomlin, the Mirthquake of Maida Vale. While on the other hand, other people have called me... But we won't talk about that. In fact, I was finding it pretty hard to talk at all. Standing on the battlements of the castle with my back to the gun held by the butler Rogers, the junior Frankenstein who'd been ordered to get rid of me once and for all.
It's a long way down to the moat, isn't it, Mr. Tomlin? Still, you'll be nice company for your bus driver.
Why was he killed?
Like you, he stuck his nose into the cellar.
He was looking for a drink, poor blighter.
He saw a lot of things he shouldn't have seen. Bad luck for him, the grill was open, and when Joe found him there, he...
Joe's that guard down there, I presume?
Yes. Unfortunately, Joe got slightly nervous, pulled a gun, and let him have it.
So, Harry's body was in that suit of armour last night, and it was gone when I came back with Walt Lund.
That's right. We put him there to keep him out of the way until your lot had gone to bed. Then we brought him up here, and he went the same way you're going.
What was it he saw, Rogers, that he shouldn't have? What's going on in that cellar?
Never mind. We're wasting time talking. You're going into that moat, and we might as well get on with it. I'll do the decent thing for you. I'll let you have a bullet before you go over.
Thanks very much. There's one thing you might as well have before I go.
What's that?
My wallet. There's £200 in it. Seems a pity to let it go waste.
All right. Hand it over your shoulder.
Righto. There you are. While we've been talking, I've managed to get the sole of my foot up against the parapet. And as I handed the wallet over my shoulder, I pushed with my foot, thrusting myself backwards. Terry Tomlin, the human bullet. I was waiting every second for him to pull the trigger, but instead... Oh, my
my turn, Rogers. You think you're clever. Drop the gun or your wrist will be... Oh, you... Good boy. I'll get you. We'll see. Table's turned. You're against the parapet now. Now for the big push. Oh, no. No. Don't. The mouse. The mouse.
I shivered, and it wasn't only because of the wind. I looked down at the subsiding water of the moat and realised that if I hadn't caught hold of the parapet just in time, I'd have gone over with him. Then I picked up my gun and made my way down into the castle. As I came into the upper gallery, I saw something about 100 yards ahead of me. A suit of armour. The place was infested with them. This one was about my size, and it gave me an idea. Have you ever tried playing statues while wearing a suit of armour? Your nose tickles and you can't scratch it. Then you realise why they had tournaments in the old days. It didn't have anything to do with fighting for a noble lady's hand. They fought to get rid of the bad temper that wearing a suit of armour gave them. I managed to clank my way down into the hall without being seen, when I suddenly heard voices. I froze into my best pose.
Have you seen Rogers?
No. Why, what are you worrying about, Sylvia?
He seems to have been gone a long time.
No nonsense. Your nerves are running away with you.
What about those two girls, the Mrs. Germain and Sherman?
All taken care of. They're occupying another of those convenient dungeons in the cellar. And Joe's on guard properly this time.
He'd better be, the idiot. Fancy going to sleep and letting that tomfool Tomlin knock him out and get into one of the dungeons.
Yes, it was unfortunate, but it's all right now. Mr. Tomlin won't do any more spying.
Well, what about the other man, Walt Lund? If he starts asking questions...
We'll just tell him that Tomlin and the two girls have gone for a walk, now that the snow's stopped.
Well, thank heavens it has. That means we can get down to the yacht. I better start things moving. Now, when Rogers comes down, tell him we're leaving. He and Joe can get our guests ready.
Through the slits in the visor of my helmet, I watched Sylvia depart. In spite of everything, it was a pleasure to see her hip action. When she disappeared from view, Sir Percy made a move, away from me. This wasn't what I wanted.
Murderer! Insult to the name of Hammond!
What the... Who said that?
Smear the illustrious name of Hammond, spawn of evil!
What the suit of armour, it came from there.
That's right.
Ah! I don't believe it. I'm going crazy. I could have sworn I saw that suit of armour hit Sir Percy on the head.
That's right, Walt.
It spoke.
Walt, don't be stupid. It's me, Teddy Tomlin.
Inside the armour?
Of course. Lift up the visor.
Peekaboo. What are you doing in there? Is this another of your gags?
No gag, Walt. There's some very suspicious goings-on going on here.
You're telling me. A few minutes ago, I heard that poltergeist scream again.
That was no poltergeist. That was the butler.
Hey?
Oh, no time to explain. We've got to get down to the cellar. Follow me. On the way down, I had Walt take one of my gauntlets off, and I undid the breastplate to get at the gun I'd got from Rogers. Then I did the breastplate up again. As we got to the steps leading down to the cellar, Walt couldn't control his impatience.
Terry, what's this all about? What's happening?
You'll find out. Now keep behind me, Walt. Then if there's any shooting, we'll both be protected by the armour.
Shooting?
Quiet as you can now.
That man down there, who's he?
The guard. His name's Joe.
Joe? Joe!
Yes? What are you... It's a ghost!
Bad luck, Joe.
Hey, that's nice shooting, Terry.
Now, Walt, grab his keys and we'll get the grill and the dungeons open. Once we got the grill open, I headed straight for the cell that June and I had found the girl in. I unlocked the door, then handed Walt the keys and told him to open the other doors and look for Kate and June. I wanted to ask the imprisoned girl some questions, so I opened her door. Relax, Ducky. It's me.
What are you doing? Dressed up in all that old iron. What do you want?
Listen, I want to know what you're doing here. Why are they keeping you a prisoner?
I don't know. That woman, Sylvia, the one who caught you when you were here before.
Yes?
Well, she gave me a contract to appear in a show. Then she brought me down here in a car. She gave me a drink, and the next thing I knew, I was in this place. I pleaded with them to tell me why and what was going on, but... What's that?
Don't ask me.
Terry, the place is full of girls. Every door I opened had a girl behind it.
Well, aren't you lucky?
But what the blazes does it all mean?
That's what I'd like to know. Blimey, look at them. Blondes, brunettes, redheads, a wolf's paradise. But I still don't see Kate and June.
There's still one door I haven't tried.
Give me the keys, I'll look. And you see if you can do something with those girls. Quieten them down.
I'm just the boy to do it. Now then, ladies, everything's all right, and if you just calm down, we'll soon get to the bottom of everything.
Oh! June,
what is it?
It's a zombie, one of the walking dead.
Don't be silly. It's me, Terry.
I was right the first time.
Terry. Oh, Terry, you found us. You saved us. Oh, you're wonderful, and you look so handsome in that suit of armor. You look a perfect knight.
You mean a perfect fright?
Terry, I thought they'd killed you.
They had a good try.
What was all that noise out there? Sounded like a lot of women.
That's what it was. You two weren't the only girls they dumped in a dungeon.
You mean there were others besides that girl we spoke to?
A lot of others.
Terry! Terry!
What's the matter, Walsh? All those girls too much for you?
Terry, it's Sylvia.
Hey, I've forgotten all about her.
She appeared at the top of the cellar steps, and then when she saw all the girls and me, she turned back into the castle. She's got a gun.
I'm going after her. I owe that girl a thing or two.
So do I. I'm coming with you.
Don't be silly, Junie. I've got this bulletproof suit on. You've got everything, but, well, it isn't bulletproof.
Well, I can stay behind you. Oh, come on, she'll get away.
Now, you keep behind me, Junie.
Don't worry. I am.
I can't see anyone in the hall here, but then she might be anywhere. It's a big place. I'll move slowly. You follow in my footsteps.
All right.
I wonder where she can be. What's the matter?
Terry, I know where she is.
You do? Where?
Right behind me, with a gun in my back.
What?
That's right, Terry. Don't move, or your girlfriend gets it.
Well, where did you spring from?
I was inside the door of the room you just passed. I let you get ahead of me. Then all I had to do was creep up behind your lady love.
Yes, I get the picture. Just answer me one question. What are all those girls doing in the dungeons?
An old-fashioned racket. In the years gone by, before the war, Buenos Aires used to be the markets. But now there are markets much nearer home. North Africa is one of them.
Markets for what?
Girls, of course.
So that's it. White slavery.
You could call it that. Don't try anything. I've got this gun right against Miss Sherman's pretty spine.
So that's what you meant when you first saw me. You said you'd be worth a lot of money. I thought you were making a crack about my leopard skin coat.
And you will be worth a lot of money, too. I know someone who'll pay a very good price for you.
Well, I suppose in a way it's a compliment.
Of course. And that's a very sensible way to look at it.
Oh, I'm always sensible.
Good go, Julie.
Ow! Ow!
Julie, you all right? Here, I'll help you up. That was really smart, keeping her talking and then suddenly dropping to the floor.
What about her?
Out cold. Soon as she dropped, I dived for her. My helmet and her chin met. Result, a spread eagle Sylvia.
Nice timing, which is more than I can usually say for your gags.
Well, is that any reward for all my efforts?
If you want a reward, you'll have to take that helmet off.
No sooner said than done.
Now, just bend forward.
Phew. I'm glad I've got the rest of my armor on.
Why, Terry?
If that's a sample of your kissing, I'll need protection.
This is Carter Brown. I hope you enjoyed that story. I enjoyed writing it. The next book of mine you'll hear is called A Corpse for Charity. Its background is Long Island society, where millionaires meet murder. So this is Carter Brown saying so long for now from the Carter Brown Mystery Theatre.
In Curves for a Coroner, you heard Myrna Dodd as June Sherman, and as Terry Tomlin, you heard our star, Anthony Wager. The Carter Brown Mystery Theatre, based on the best-selling novels by Carter Brown, is dramatized and directed by Maurice Travers for Grace Gibson Radio Productions.